I'm Kate Crofts, and I began to lose my sight when I was 7 years old. My mum took me to Moorfields to have diagnosed what was going on, and as we came out of the hospital, I looked up at my mum and said, "Mummy, are they ever going to make me see again?" And my mum choked back her tears and said, "We'll talk about it later, darling," because she knew that no, they weren't going to make me see properly again, and that I would continue to lose the rest of my sight until I was totally blind at some point. As my family and I discovered, sight loss doesn't just affect older people. In the UK, there are more than 25,000 blind and partially sighted children. Penny and Dave Scott's daughter, Maddie, was born with congenital cataracts and nystagmus in both eyes.
She was 10 weeks old when she had her first operation to remove the lens from one of her eyes. That was hard, seeing her laying in a little gown, and then they took her away, and the waiting was really, really hard for us.
Then you start thinking about the long-term prospects of everything and the effects on her life. That was tough.
Maddie did develop glaucoma. Such a young age to have it, and she's going to have to live with that for the whole of her life. She's got quite minimal peripheral vision, and her long distance is really impaired.
The future for Maddie with the glaucoma, we're on a steady downhill part of the journey, which we've got to monitor very, very seriously and keep under control.
When Mum and I did eventually sit down together at home and she explained to me that I was going to lose my sight, she didn't really know, and neither did I, what it would mean for us. So we needed guidance and help and support, which my mum sought in abundance and researched. And RNIB was one of those organisations.
I contacted the RNIB helpline to find out any information really, and they were great. Just to have that friendly voice on the other end of the line, knowing what we were going through and the support that we needed was invaluable to us. Okay, head back. Sit. As Maddie's developed, they supply us with enlarged reading books, and that obviously brings Maddie a lot of joy.
Maisie found a flattish rock.
She's reading RNIB books every day.
RNIB helped my mother and I understand what options we had for schooling, because as my sight got worse it became apparent that I perhaps needed specialist education. It seems a long time since RNIB guided me through the maze of school, college and getting my first job. And RNIB are still supporting thousands of children and teenagers through their education. Like Patrick Cox, who recently graduated from RNIB College Loughborough.
I've got tunnel vision and I've got cerebral palsy down my left side. When I started RNIB Loughborough I was 16 years old. I weren't quite confident enough to go to mainstream college. I think I changed. I became more confident and more sociable by the end of my 2 years.
Patrick is now confident enough to study sport at mainstream college and has gone on to win gold medals at table tennis.
When I win, I feel obviously proud from where I've come from. When I was 10 to now is huge.
Maddie loves music.
Maddie loves all sorts of music or shows.
When Maddie went to her first RNIB music workshop, she was only just 8 years old, and she came back home and she was singing all the songs for the next week.
He can't catch me. Oh, duck and dog.
I think Maddie will be doing quite a few workshops in the future as well.
I like music because it gives me a chance to relax. I also like the achievements I can make when I'm playing the music.
I think it's helped Madeline going to the RNIB music workshops because she has met children there that are far more visually impaired than her. You can see that she's thinking about that and knowing that that is a possibility for her in the future, but at the same time she's also seeing these other children not letting anything stop them doing the things that they love.
Once I knew I was going to lose my sight quite quickly, I was determined I wanted to see my first child with the sight I had then. So I had my daughter, Phoebe, when I was perhaps younger than I might have otherwise planned to have my first child. Oscar, her younger brother, I didn't see, and I did find I needed greater support to care for Oscar. It takes a huge amount of confidence to step outside your house with your 2 small infants when you've recently lost sight. RNIB was able to help me signpost services that I didn't know existed, and I did gain the confidence to be able to take my children out alone, but it took some time. I can't know who I would have been without my sight loss, but I do know that RNIB enabled me to feel confident that I could do things in life that might otherwise have felt daunting.
Maddie knows that she's going to be okay, whatever happens with her vision. She will have the support from RNIB that will help her through her life, and I think she's going to live a really fulfilling life and do all the things she wants to do.
If people help and raise money for the RNIB, I think they would help me and a lot of other blind and visually impaired children.
They phoned me up, the RNIB, and said that they thought you were so lovely. They've asked if you would go to the Royal Gala dinner and present a bouquet of flowers to the Queen. Are you excited about that?
RNIB, supporting blind and partially sighted people.